see dead people. That's my new favorite snack. Salmon eyes. If you think they are gross, you gross. You don't know what's going on. And you probably, that's just a belief because you haven't had them. Because they are delicious. I especially like this fatty part. What connects the eye to the salmon consciousness. That leads me to another little rant I got. For raw meat community, which I'm obviously part of. And I just did the best raw meat experiment there's ever been done. I ate raw chicken every single day for 1 year, going 400 days. Thank me later. Everybody, every normie NPC scientist doctor says you cannot eat raw chicken, you're gonna get salmon Nutella. Except maybe a couple people in Japan. I just proved them wrong. Every single day for full year, except 1 day. So that's the best raw meat experiments there is. So every raw meat or primal diet or whatever, when your friends say you're gonna get food poisoning eating that raw meat, well maybe you are if you eat shitty ass food. If you eat those mRNA popped animals, chickens, whatever animals they are. Yeah, it's gonna be real bad down for your ass. But you gotta show them my video. Look at this guy, he ate raw chicken every single day for 1 year. And they listen what I said in that video, 1 year video. I explained what's really important in health, what's pretty important, what's not important. I explained how can you eat raw chicken, how can you eat raw meat products, how can you eat raw animal products and not get sick. It's all about raising them in a natural way, raising them with love and care and in connection with nature. So thank me later. I did the best freaking raw meat experiment there is out there right now. But what I'm gonna say is that the raw meat community also super retarded. Some like there's some retarded people in that community as well. I feel like every community gets corrupted by these technologies because we are not used. Like we human beings, we're supposed to interact in real life. We aren't supposed to interact under these man-made technological devices. Because if we interact, we use these devices wrong. We use them with the blue light on, we don't block the blue light. We use them inside all day. Our thinking gets corrupted, our brain doesn't really work that well anymore. And then we get into these little freaking haters gonna hate fights on the internet and share our little retarded thoughts. And then everybody gets mad at each other. And this is how all the internet communities kind of get corrupted. And there's probably intelligent agencies also in many of these communities to distract people, to take on the wrong turns. I feel like there's some in the raw meat community. But anyway, the overall point is that some of the raw meat eaters, they way too myopic. They way too Arjun's Wonder Planet was the god. Even there's so much weird stuff also about the Arjuna story. And then there's the goddess. Like he's right about everything, the fanboys of his. And they always say like, these people, like on the people that the goddess reviews, they're like, how do I put it, like, they just have these religious beliefs. And then their whole freaking shit is built upon Arjun's Wonder Planets and stuff. And that's like, there's so many religious beliefs in Arjuna's stuff. He didn't show the mechanisms of some of these things. He said like, salt is toxic. Good food is toxic. Well, it is toxic a little bit, but redox is detox if you have a good redox, which means you can create energy well. It ain't shit for your ass. It ain't shit. Or like, don't drink water. Well, that's actually not that bad, because their diets are based on fatty animal products, and if you eat a lot of fatty animal products which have a lot of unsaturated fat, your cytochrome C oxidase in your mitochondria produces deuterium depleted water, structured deuterium depleted water, which is the purest and the best water you can have. So more fat you eat in your diet, especially more unsaturated fat, I believe, but also plant oils. I've heard olive oil is also good, and I'm not gonna get into that. But if you eat a lot of fat in your diet, good fat, your mitochondria, when it metabolizes oxygen, it creates water. Just like plants take sunlight and water and CO2, we basically do the reverse. We take oxygen that the plants made for us, we take some food, and we turn that into water, the purest water there is. So that's the best hydration for you. Then we turn that into CO2, and then we turn that into light. They don't teach about that light part in schools yet, but that's proven by Fritz Pop's work in the 60s, bro. But all these good scientists making these breakthroughs, they get cancelled, their science gets suppressed, they don't get funding. Guess why? Because these things solve all our problems. We cannot have big pharma industry, we cannot have big medical industry. So there's that. But anyway, I always go with this tight range, and I'm feeling extra tight range today. Because I got those salmon eyes in my tummy now. That's my main point. Most of the raw meat eaters way too myopic about health. Health is about your whole freaking environment. Now some of them talk about about relationships as well, and most of them talk about sun as well and being out in the nature as well. But they still think that food is the most important. It is not. You can eat some grain sludge if you want. You can eat some potatoes if they grow in your environment. You can eat some rice if it grows your environment. Like, it's no big deal, bro. You can get some microplastics even. But if your redox is high, redox is detox, bitch. So you can see Arjunus, he had some brilliant ideas. He was very motivational, inspirational speaker, kind of this guru-like figure. But he didn't show the mechanisms behind these things. He talked about a lot of game, but to me he didn't prove a lot. So if you follow him, if you based your knowledge upon him, it's a bunch of religious beliefs. So shut your bitch ass up. But anyway, raw meat eaters get a lot of things right. They're just a little retarded because they're either ignorant or they're fraudulent. They want to sell you shit. They want to sell their little version of reality. Because I came up with this shit. This is how I got popular in the internet. So now I'm not gonna read anything anymore. I'm just gonna stick to my ultimate bro science knowledge, common sense bro science knowledge. And you don't admit you're Dunning-Kruger. You don't admit that. You're not humble enough to admit that maybe you ain't so bright with all these topics. Maybe you have some blind spots in your thinking. What this leads to me to the salmon, which was the salmon eyes, which was the original point. There's this thing in the raw meat eater community, which is come from the goddess, is that liver is the best. If you don't eat liver every single day from these purest animals that most people cannot even get. Like I always laugh about, because so many people are still having problems in the comment sections, like, I'm doing all this right, I'm still having problems, and then delete, blocked, suppress. You really not try to help everybody, you just try to get your message out and try to act you are better than everybody else. Like, let's be real with that. But it's all about their liver and blood and brain, things that most people don't even have access to. If you cannot do that, you cannot feel euphoric. No, your state of being is gonna be real shitty. You're gonna need coffee when you wake up. You can't feel energy, bro. It's kinda like the vegans being like, you didn't do veganism right. You just didn't do veganism right. Because that's what diets lead to. Because diet is not the ultimate answer to these problems. The same with the carnivores and keto people. They're like, well, you didn't do keto right. Your freaking salt balance wasn't right. You couldn't produce enough ketones. That's why you craved carbs. That's why you got all these cramps. That's why you felt fatigued. You didn't do carnivore right. You didn't do keto right. Eat what grows in your environment. It's that freaking simple, and get the best quality stuff possible. Grow your own food, and that's the best you can do. If you can do that, that's hard also. But another side rant. Is side ranting the shit out of this video. Whole video is a side rant, because my main point was it's all about this liver. It's all about this brain. I gotta tell you, salmon, seafood, oysters, those make me feel the best. And I've done this shit for a while now. I've eaten a lot of raw liver for you guys. And raw liver never really makes me feel like anything special. Except maybe the high raw liver. And sometimes raw liver makes me feel kinda shitty. Because it's the bad animals. It's very hard to get good raw liver in 2025. And maybe that's done on purpose as well. Then there's the whole toxic vitamin A. Is it toxic or is it religious belief? Come on, man. We know that if blue light hits your eye too much from these devices, it hits your eye in melanopsin. It frees too much retinol, vitamin A, and it goes everywhere, and it is toxic effect. And probably in nature as well you can eat too much vitamin A. Like, I don't feel like eating liver all the time. I feel like eating liver like once a month, sometimes a little more. In summer you can do it more because vitamin A is tied with vitamin D. So if you have poor vitamin D levels and you megadose on vitamin A, probably problems. But if you get good sunlight, which is the cure to everything basically, you can get more vitamin A also. You can eat more liver. But this whole liver talk, like, you're gonna feel so euphoric. Liver is the ultimate freaking good. Yeah, liver is pretty good if you get good animals. It is one of the best, most nutritious food out there. But I think you can get too much liver. That's what I think. Vitamin A is toxic if you're in front of blue light devices all day. We have the mechanism for that. That's some real science. If you're gonna read some science some of these days, like, good. Sometimes the broad science is pretty good, the common sense is pretty good, but sometimes you need to humble your ears and read some science as well, because there is good scientists out there, there is good doctors, but these boys are suppressed because the scientific industries, the peer-reviewed science papers are being owned by the Maxwell family. Ghislaine Maxwell's father, who's dead, he owned that shit. But anyway, when I finish my raw chicken over here, the whole point of my video was that I have felt so much better from eating salmon than I have ever from raw liver, even the high raw liver. Oysters also magnificent. But the oysters ain't super local, they're from Sweden. So maybe they would be even better if I would live somewhere where the oysters are nearby. But if I eat a lot of salmon, even farmed salmon here in Finland, we have some of the best salmon, I think. Sweden also, Norway also. But salmon makes me feel so much better than liver ever has made me feel. Even farmed salmon makes me feel super good. It lights up the brain like that, DHA boy. It makes your willy go like this, like really hard. And the girls, the women, the gals, they look very, they are very magnetic to you. In a way that you feel very magnetic to them. And I feel like you get a lot more looks also. So for all you black pill motherfuckers, you nerds behind the class, you are smart. So if you have the opportunity to reproduce, get some salmon in you, so you can maybe change the fate of your bloodline, because it's all about the environment. Your genetics, they can change in a heartbeat. It's constantly changing. Your body is constantly taking information out of your environment and changing your epigenetics. But salmon makes my brain feel like the best. Makes making these videos a lot easier. My English is better. I don't stumble anymore that much. Like I remember last year in summer when I was starting, it's also practice. I do these every single day. Thanks salmon Nutella fried chicken. But I remember last year, and sometimes even, there's bad days with everybody. Sometimes my brain is not braining. Some days I feel retarded also. But today I feel extra spicy and extra good, as you can tell from my side range. But I remember last year in summer, sometimes you make these videos and you get like these brain fog takeovers of your brain, like what the hell I'm talking about. You cannot tread the topics in your and thoughts in your and ideas in your head in a cohesive way, and you try to speak to the whole world, except YouTube is shadow banning my ass like a motherfucker because I'm spot on with my things. That's why they're shadow banning me. Why else they wouldn't? I'm basically the antidote to YouTube CEOs and bosses' agenda to take over the world with their technologies and shit. But anyway, like the ability to cohesively structure your thoughts, your ideas to these sentences, and English is not my first language, sometimes that's extra hard because I'm kind of thinking like in English and sometimes a little bit Finnish, and I need to translate the words in Finnish to English. Sometimes I'm like thinking I've never said this word in English, or I haven't said this word in English in 10 years. I've heard it many times and I have read it many times, but my tongue hasn't said it in 10 years or never in my life. So I'm kind of like, when I'm coming up with my thoughts, like the word is coming, how do I pronounce this shit? And you have seen me struggle city with these English pronunciations multiple times. But salmon, that DHA, that helps. That helps a lot. Like your brain works well, you're way more horny, your libido is like increased immediately, and it works super good. So also sleep, I feel like salmon really also makes your dreams really good. I talk about a little in that no electricity insane dreams video. So salmon, even the farmed fish, try it in your area, or like study how they farm the salmon, because it matters. Like they can farm the cows in multiple different ways. They can farm the cows with all kinds of grains and feeding them shit and cardboard and giving them all these. Or they can let the cows roam outside on their grass, on the hilly grasses, grass fields all day, outside all day for your cows as well. So there's different kind of farming methods, and there's probably different kind of farming, or there is, I have to research it. There's different kind of farming methods that they do with the fish also. And also the mercury, the heavy metals, redox is your detox. So I have felt way more shitty effects from liver. I have talked about this in many of my videos, like multiple times in last year. I felt kinda off after eating liver, but I have never felt off after eating some salmon eyes, or just salmon. It's also delicious. You can even eat it cooked a little bit, leave it a little bit raw. I like it to make the skin like a little cooked, and middle part raw, or just fully raw. But the skin is really good if it's a little bit cooked. So don't get dogmatic. Raw meat boys and gals, a little myopic sometimes. They get a little bit too religious for my liking. A little bit too many religious beliefs in that community. And salmon, DHA, seafood. Try it out. Maybe the heavy metals can be a problem. But redox is detox. So better get your ass outside on the grass with the cows and get that sunlight on the sack in every part of you, like I'll be doing a lot. Check this freaking skin tone. And it's really helping. That's the answer to everything. Sunlight and some salmon solves pretty much every problem. Fertility problem, mental health problem, brain intelligence problems, dopamine problems, sleep problems, probably cures cancer, probably helps everybody pair bond again, probably gets your ass off from these technologies and all the corn and shit. It's the answer to everything basically. Sunlight, some freaking seafood or oysters up in your belly, a little bit salmon Nutella here and there just for the shits and giggles. So we can do some best science, the best science channel on YouTube, who just did the best and still continuing to do the best raw meat experiment there is out there. Start sharing this shit, start liking this shit, comment. We get no comments. Yeah boy, see you later alligator, let's get outside my boy.